Welcome, and thank you for joining Between Sessions with Justin and Chaley.
Just a quick disclaimer before we start. This podcast is for educational and conversational purposes only. It's not intended to replace therapy, counseling, or professional mental health care. We are sharing lived experiences and reflections, not prescriptions, and we encourage our listeners to seek professional guidance when needed. Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
We are going to be winding down the end of Pride Month, so we're going to talk about some ways to be supportive and what this means beyond the month of Pride.
Love it.
So, today we're going to talk about some different ways to be supportive, to be an ally, to be respectful. Also, going to kind of talk about the topic of how do we talk to kids about this?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a really fun myths and facts section that Chaley gets to answer this time.
Woot woot.
All right. Where do you think you want to start?
All right. Well, full disclosure, I'm going to give a little bit of my background, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I grew up and I went to a Catholic school from kindergarten until 12th grade. I was in Catholic school. So I did not have any exposure or anything with anyone different than me. And not only that, but growing up, in a Catholic high school, you learn about religion and you learn that certain things are wrong and will land you on a one-way ticket to hell. And I am still working to make sure that I, use the right language, that I'm doing the right thing, just because I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with me and I feel gypped because I have a 18-year, what's the opposite of a head start?
Gap.
Yeah, I didn't really get anything until I left high school and went to college, and then I was inundated with different races, different sexual orientation, just every religion. I was just for the longest time, I only knew two religions.
Right.
I knew Catholic and I only knew Jewish because Jesus was Jewish. So I didn't have that exposure that I think is really important.
I so appreciate you sharing that because I think so many of the people listening can probably relate to that of just maybe it's not they're specifically part of the community, but didn't have exposure to it and really don't know how to navigate it because it gets tricky, right? There's, especially with social media and culture, pop culture, there's so many different ways that we can be trying to be supportive and helpful, but maybe not doing it exactly the right way. So,
And things change.
yeah.
And it's it can be confusing. And then I don't want to ask because sometimes I worry that even asking a question can come across as offensive. And I don't want to do
Mhm.
that. I also don't want to seem ignorant, oh my God, you don't know the answer.
Yeah.
So it's tough when you're trying to be inclusive, but you just don't know how.
Right. And then that also comes into parenting. When you don't exactly know all the answers or how to navigate the right answers, how do you answer questions? So I guess one place to start is beyond anything else, respect is
Mhm.
what matters. Respect, you don't have to understand someone's experience to be kind or to be respectful. And when we were talking about it with the kid piece as well, as long as we are being curious and learning, there's not wrong answers. And
Yeah, you don't have to give your kid all of the details of something.
right.
You can simply say yeah, they're not the same as me and you, and that's cool. We respect everybody.
Mm,
You don't have to dive into the, graphic details of what the
yeah.
differences might be. It's just, yeah, they're different and we respect that.
And
That's it.
having the acceptance of diversity
Mhm.
that goes along with, I mean, any other way that we're identifying or cultural differences. I don't want to say no different than that, but it is a similar level of respect.
Yeah, no, it really is. My son saw somebody speaking a different language and he was like, "Are they speaking Chinese?" And I'm like, "Yeah, isn't that cool that they can speak two languages? That's so cool."
So starting there is just the curiosity. It's going to show up and being open. And a lot of that has to do with the language, using supportive language as you would with someone speaking a different language. That might many times is going to be a little bit more obvious and you're going to be show a level of respect
Yeah,
to that
and
curiosity.
you lead by example, right? So, like, if
Yeah.
I'm with my son and we see two guys holding hands walking down the road, and he's going to be curious because, in our home, it's me and my husband. So it's like, it's different, not wrong,
Mhm.
different. And so he might be like, Mom, why are those two guys holding hands? And how you respond is so important because if you're like, they're gay, like it's a swear word. I mean, it's going to have like a negative impact, right?
Yeah.
So, like, in that instance, I would be like, well, why do me and Jake hold hands? Because we love each other. So I'm assuming it's because they love each other. Either that or one of them, is worried that the other's going to wander off. Like, I don't know.
And a point of that is the difference, not someone being an other, but someone being different.
Hmm.
Different and unique is incredible in this world.
Yes.
So not casting someone as an other, but different.
Hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
So language tends to be a really big part in this. Respect. So a big topic that tends to come up is pronouns, the way that someone identifies. This
Yes.
can be scary.
It is scary.
Even being in the community, it's scary.
Yeah. No, I had actually an experience because we were at a store and my son wanted to ask somebody who worked there a question and he came up to me and he's like, "Mom, is that a boy or a girl?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I didn't know like how to help him because I didn't even know how I'm like, "I'm not sure." And then everything fell out of my brain because he was just like, "What?" And I'm like, "What? I don't know."
And rather than just quick making something up that then becomes fact, because that's really influential,
Mhm.
being like, huh, I don't know, let's figure this out. Huge.
Yeah, I didn't know where to go from there though.
Right.
Like, I panicked and I was like, "I don't know." And then I feel like I did something really awful, like, said, like, "Well, this person's not busy. Let's ask them." Like, I don't because I didn't want my son to go up to a person and say, "Are you a boy or a girl?" Because I am so worried about disrespecting somebody.
Hmm.
How to handle it.
Then it sometimes prevents the opportunity to learn because there's a pressure on this. I will not sit here and say that I'm an expert by any means, but I think in situations when I have experienced that now, and this is, I mean, from years of trying to kind of figure out and be in that same boat of, I just default to they, them
Mhm.
is something, or just kind of not use identifying pronouns. And it's weird because our society has trained us to separate into two boxes of
Mhm.
boy and girl, male and female. It's okay to fall somewhere in the middle. It's okay to just be like, hey, can I ask you a question?
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
'Cause I wanna make sure that I'm raising my son to respect everybody, so I don't wanna come across like I'm disrespectful by saying, "I don't
Mhm.
know." And that's the other aspect of it is, like, if you identify as a certain gender, I don't wanna get it wrong
Right.
because then that's like you're working hard to identify as whatever gender it is. I think of for me, like, I get my lashes done and I'm, like, very feminine and I identify as a female and, like, I'd be offended if someone looked at me and didn't know because I'd be like, "Hello, I'm very clearly." And so
And I appreciate you identifying that because there's a level of privilege with that I 100% will acknowledge. Like, I have a beard. I look pretty masculine. I don't deal with getting misgendered, but there are so many people that experience that, and that has to be such a challenge. So, I mean, this is where kind of maybe in putting out to some of our viewers, what is a good way that we've kind of handled those situations? I think, I guess, in my experience, kind of going back to just respecting love name tags because then it's normally their preferred name and we get
Mhm.
to kind of default to that. But
Yes, there was no name tag.
that makes it even more challenging.
It's tough dealing with kids because they have so many freaking
Right.
questions, and I don't have the answers.
Yeah. So I think just reminding them to be able to be respectful and
And maybe even you know what? Maybe even saying like, "I don't know," but that's okay. Like, we can still ask this person the question. I
mhm,
think that's where I got it wrong was I was like, "I don't know," and then I panicked, and I was so worried about what he was going to say that I was like, "We can just ask somebody else." And I feel like now looking back, I could have been like, I don't know, but that's okay because you're asking a question about a Pokemon card. That's not really relevant information we need anyways. Or maybe something like that. Somebody tell me if that's like the wrong thing, but
I've also noticed from working with so many people within the LGBTQ plus community that are in a transition, done a full transition, are thinking about it. If someone is being kind and respectful and they get it wrong, they're normally not mad. It's if you repeatedly do it,
Mm,
if you're purposefully disrespecting and calling someone by their dead name, or they've expressed to you what their gender identity is, and it may be outside of male or female. There is a whole spectrum, and then continuing to blatantly disrespect that. That's when people get upset. And I think that there is so much pressure on this to get it right the first time, but that's not always possible. Sometimes we make mistakes. We feel the embarrassment, but most people are forgiving. Some people may not, but that's kind of been my experience with it. Is
yeah.
trying our best. I know, like, I'll call myself out on this. I have definitely misgendered someone that I have worked with or used a dead name, and I apologized and didn't make it a huge deal, even though I thought it was a big deal. They were fine.
Mhm.
They just let me roll with it. They appreciate that I apologized.
Okay, I know it's not the same, but when my brother was adopted, he changed his name and got a new first name, and it bothered him because my grandmother, just to be mean, would
Oh,
call him by his birth name.
yeah.
Whereas, like, every once in a while, if I was, like, talking fast or whatever, I would slip up, and then I would be like, "Oops, sorry," and he's like, "It's alright." Like, he did not care, but he did get so mad at my grandmother
Mhm.
for so I guess it's the purpose behind it.
Intent. Were you being malicious or did you make a mistake?
Yeah.
Because we're human and we make mistakes.
Right, because if you especially if you've known someone for a while and then, they
Mhm.
change their name, like, that's hard. I still forget and I'll start signing, like, my maiden name. Like,
Right.
it's not
Right.
because I don't love my husband, I swear. It's just you get so used to it one way, it's an adjustment.
This next piece is something that definitely gets under my skin at times is because people say that they can't respect someone's pronouns or they can't use their chosen name or preferred name versus dead name. That's a choice.
Yeah, I don't get that.
That's a choice. People have for years had nicknames or chosen names that are so far from their name at birth. I mean, an example is like Richard and Bob or James and Jim. Those don't even connect, and we respect that. So I think we can respect it and we can kind of break away from that, from being a way to gain power and just be able to respect and be kind to people.
Mhm.
So, thinking back to the parenting piece, when asked questions, I appreciate that you had a level of vulnerability.
Mhm.
I think that is a key piece in this because we're not going to have all the answers. Even someone who is being raised by two moms or two gender fluid individuals are not going to have all the answers to every question. Leaving that space to be able to, hey, we'll figure it out. Another great resource is getting a good book that explains diverse families,
Mhm.
having exposure to diverse families within books or TV shows, understanding that not everybody is the same and people's preferences are different, people's lifestyles are different. And again, you don't have to go into like the really detailed pieces that like kids shouldn't have to be exposed to begin with. They can see people as people,
Yes.
and that's okay.
For some reason, I feel like some people think if you're gonna talk to your kids about, like, just for example, being gay, that they think you have to, like, break it down and explain, like, how gay sex works. Like,
It can be so simple.
I'm not sitting there explaining to my kids how straight people have sex. Like, we don't need to talk about nobody sh
Literally.
like, no, but really though, like, nobody should be talking to kids about sex in general. I mean, they reach a certain age, but, like, if that's your biggest concern, that's weird. Like, my son doesn't know about that stuff yet. It's just so weird that people think that, like, you're traumatizing our children.
So we tend to overcomplicate it as the adult rather than the child probably is accepting and wants a more simple answer of like, well, they love each other.
Yeah, that's all there is.
Simple as it is.
I know I completely traumatized my child because it was you actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I said something like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to Justin's house, and I think his husband might be home, so you'll get to meet his husband." And I remember because my son was confused. He was like, "Wait, I thought Justin was a boy," and I'm like, "Justin is a boy. So is his husband." And my son was like, "Two guys can get married," and I'm like, "Yeah, a guy and a girl can get married. Two guys can get married. Two girls can get married." You just have to love somebody. As long as you love somebody and you treat them nicely, like, yeah, why not? And he was like, "Huh, can I have a fruit snack?"
We make it so much bigger than
Mhm.
what it tends to be.
Yep.
And which makes sense because especially if, I mean, you sharing your journey with this, like you're trying to figure out all the answers. You're trying to have all the answers there. And like many times it's much more simple. Or most kids are accepting of like, I don't know right now, but let's figure it out
Mhm.
to be part of that process too.
Yeah.
can be so important. I love being the example. I love it. It's like a badge I wear.
Yes. No, but I do have to say it is helpful because I have you and I have a friend of mine is a lesbian and has a
Mhm.
girlfriend. And so it's nice to have people so close to home because it's not you're not different. You're not weird or strange or like you're just Justin. Like, my son just sees you as Justin. And then when he found out Justin had a husband, he was just like, okay. Like,
Right. And I think that is something that more so now where there's much more open conversations about this, that it is less weird or less seen as the other because people are viewing people as people. When you know someone and you know their characteristics as them being a human, that's not the defining factor. It's not their entire personality.
mhm.
There are other pieces that make up a person, and I think when we have more exposure, we gain such a better understanding of this.
Mhm.
So I think there's a lot to be said about that of like, A, being accepting and allowing ourselves to be friends with people that are different or have different people within our family and not just casting them as the other. But it's a learning opportunity. Always be learning in this.
Yeah.
So we have the fun section of myth and fact.
I think we're just about out of time.
So we covered language, we covered kinda how to have the conversations, and again, it wasn't a huge big thing because it can be more simple of just trying to be kind, trying to figure it out as we
Mhm.
go. Knowing that we're just not gonna always have the right answers, but as long as we're being respectful and we're being inclusive to people, that's what matters.
Yeah, and also just as a side note, being a parent, it took me so much to get that child into this world. Like, so much. I went through 42 weeks of pregnancy, just an awful labor. Like, I went through a lot to get this kid into the world. And it blows my mind that some parents would disown their child for being gay, being trans, being non binary. Like, my kid would I can't think of anything that he could do to make me stop loving him, but, like, that is not even close to being on the list, like, you
Right.
know what I mean? Like, I that is something that I will never be okay with, and I will never understand because, like, yeah, I've this kid's my investment, okay? Like, I have invested so much time and, like, I'm not these stretch marks aren't going anywhere. And I've invested so much in this kid, I can't imagine that that would be a reason to never speak to your kid again. Like,
Ah,
you know what I'm saying? It really pisses me off when I see that. I just wanna be their mom too, like the kids
yeah.
that has happened to, like, "C come here, honey, I'll be your mom."
What a different perspective on that. I appreciate you sharing that.
Well, how hard it was? It was hard to have this kid in this world.
Yeah, but, like, how much of an investment it is, like, and it is very quick, and sometimes people will say, like, "Oh, well, I would disown him for this, that, and the other." You put a lot of work into having a kid.
Yep, I
Yeah,
did, and I would never want to lose him, and I mean that in a couple different ways because teen, kid, young adult suicide rates among the LGBTQ plus community are very high.
yeah,
And I want to make sure that my child knows that I am a huge supporter of whatever. Love is love. Like, what I know that's so cheesy, but like, whatever,
yeah.
like that he will always have a safe place with me. And he doesn't ever have to feel like he doesn't belong in this world. So that is very important to me as a
I
parent.
I I appreciate you bringing that part up because that is kind of the uglier side of that is it has a really big impact to feel isolated, to feel alone, to feel as though no one loves or understands. It messes with our brain and it makes us be in positions to make choices that are permanent.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
hmm, so
All right, fine. I'll stop changing the subject. Do it. I'm ready.
talking to kids about LGBTQ plus topics will make them LGBTQ plus.
Ooh, I'm going to say that is false because if you talk to kids about being straight, doesn't make them straight, which I think we all know.
Yep.
So it either does or it doesn't. It doesn't just go for LGBTQ plus. So if kids can grow up in a straight family, watching only shows with straight people and have no access and still they are LGBTQ plus, obviously it does not affect them.
I love that. So, great job.
Thank you.
Talking about it does not influence the child's sexuality or gender identity. It helps children understand that family and people can look different.
Mhm.
This one's controversial.
Oh, no.
I'm so excited.
Okay.
Being LGBTQ plus is just a phase.
Oh, that is controversial. Okay, well, I'm gonna say false, obviously, but I think there's a lot more fluidity
Yeah.
than what I grew up knowing. I think not so much of a phase, but I think now there's a lot more fluidity of like, I'm gonna love who I love. It might be a girl, it might be a boy. I might date a boy this month and then we break up, and then the next relationship I get into is with a girl, and then and back and forth. It doesn't make it a phase, it just makes it more like fluid.
You gotta give yourself more credit because that was an incredible answer.
Yeah.
Everybody's journey is different, and it might be a phase for some people. It might be the full lifestyle for others. And a phase at a younger age doesn't have to determine that.
Hmm. Yep.
Good job. Using someone's preferred name or pronouns is difficult.
False. We talked about this.
Yeah.
It's false. If you have used somebody's what's it called? Dead name?
Dead names, yeah.
So if you've used someone's dead name for 20 years and then it changes, it's going to be hard to get into the groove of using
Yeah.
a new one, but it's not hard. I did it with my brother when he changed his name.
Mm-hmm. So it can take practice,
Yes.
but most people adjust
But
like they
honestly,
do.
people have to practice saying my name. Like my boss had to actually sit there and practice saying it because after I worked with her for 2.5 years, I finally was like, just so you know, you're pronouncing my name wrong.
Right.
And she was like, oh my gosh. And like she had to actively work to
Yeah.
pronounce it right. So,
And like the point you made with changing the last name, it takes practice,
mhm,
and that part can be challenging, of course.
yeah.
But putting the effort and repetition helps with that.
Yes.
Nice. Kids are too young to learn about LGBTQ plus people. We kind of went over this one.
Yes, we did. I'm going to say false. I think anything that you can talk to a child about with a straight, I'm going to say couple, you can talk to them about a not straight couple. So
Yeah.
I'm going to a wedding and these two people are getting married. Well, if you would tell your kid about a straight couple getting married, I don't think there's anything wrong with telling them about a gay couple getting married. You don't have to talk about what happens on the wedding night because that would be freaking weird in any situation.
Spot on. Children already notice the difference. If they feel safe coming to you and asking you about it, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Age appropriate conversations can simply teach that family and people look different and come in many different forms, and everyone deserves kindness. If I accidentally say the wrong thing, I'm a bad ally.
See, this is what I know it's false, but in my head I'm like, it's true. I should just know. But no, it is false. Justin has convinced, and
We
I'm a
make
human.
mistakes.
Yes.
We make mistakes. You're human. Moving forward, as long as you usually try to do your best, a quick apology, correction, and moving forward quickly is normally the appropriate
You know
response.
what? Now that I'm thinking about it, how many times do I call somebody by the wrong name?
Literally.
If I don't really know them, and it's awkward and embarrassing, and I feel a little bad that I didn't remember their name, but it's like not the end of the world.
Do you over explain when that happens? Maybe you do. We are quite anxious. Maybe you do. But thinking about
Feel
that,
like I'm so sorry, but you have brown curly hair, and this cousin of this person that I know has brown curly hair, and her name is Shirley, which starts with an S. So that's why I called you. Yeah, like I might, but with a normal person, probably
yeah.
not.
So don't dwell on it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to over explain. Don't have to make it the entire context of that conversation.
Yeah, I guess like bringing more of a big deal and attention to it would be worse. So
Especially in public,
yeah,
you know?
like oh my god, I'm sorry I called you a she. Yeah,
Yep.
got it. Okay, all right.
So, you did great.
That
You
was
gotta give yourself more credit. Yeah.
yay.
You got all of them right, and you were worried about that.
I was. I was worried about making myself look awful on our podcast.
No, great job. So, kind of in wrapping this up, just giving ourselves grace, allowing ourselves to make mistakes because we're human and we get to learn from that. When we don't beat ourselves up about it, we're actually going to learn quicker and probably not make the same mistake moving forward than if we beat ourselves up that we are just in survival mode and we're not taking in the information anyways.
Yeah.
Be kind to ourselves.
Being an ally is not difficult. It's literally just don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it
Literally.
is.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week.
Bye, everybody.